with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio. I am Jerry Usher along with Debbie Georgiani and the show team in place. It is our Thursday broadcast, the Feast of Saints Paul, Mickey, and Companions, and we are so glad to have you with us, and we're looking forward, Debbie, to another lively conversation about something we talk about, details of everyday life here on this show.
I think this is going to be not only a fun topic, but something that I think we can learn from. And that is, we're asking the question, have you ever won a lottery or prize? Have you ever won something and you just want to share the results of that, how it changed your life? Maybe it made it better. Maybe it just destroyed your life. I know someone that won a major lottery, a state lottery here in Arizona, $63 million. And wow. He got a divorce and ended up going completely flat broke. So it was very interesting. It didn't turn out well for him. Yeah, $63 million. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I can't imagine it myself, but I can believe. I know that these are the kinds of things that happen to other people, Debbie, right?
Yeah, I know. Well, it was really, but he didn't take our advice. My father-in-law tried to give him great advice after he won, and he didn't listen, and it was disastrous. So that can happen with some of these big prizes, right?
It can. So jump on the phone lines right now. This is the ideal time to call in because it's the beginning of the program. We are live today, and we are taking your phone calls about, have you ever won a lottery, a prize of some kind? It could have been a parish bingo. It could have been, I don't know, you name it. We win all kinds of prizes. Maybe it was a raffle held at your church. We just want to hear about, how you managed to do that, how that impacted you, good, bad, indifferent, either way, because there are a lot of people out here listening who may someday, hit something like a jackpot or a lottery or something. So everything that you have to share on this program is meaningful, and we would love to have you do that right now. How do you do it? Ideally, several ways you can get on the show, but we'll want to hear your lovely voice at 833-288 EWTN, 833-288-3986.
So have you ever won a lottery, a raffle, a prize? We'd love to definitely pick your brain on this. Like, what did it feel like? Did you think you were going to win? Did you have that instinct? Like, I think I better get an extra ticket. I just feel like I'm going to win the prize. 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. And of course, you don't have to be Catholic to call in. If you hear us, we consider you part of the family. So please dial in. We're very friendly. Matt's on the phones. Michael's at the controls. Rich is on social media. You can leave your comment there. Jerry, you made me think about this topic overnight. And so I was thinking about, I'm one of those people that, like, I get an abundance of tickets, like Knights of Columbus when they do those raffles and all sorts of stuff. And I'm thinking, like, okay, what's my odds? I have good odds. Never do I win, ever. However, years ago, last minute, my husband bought a quick raffle ticket at a Knights of Columbus event for our Rosary celebration every year in Arizona. And he dropped it in the bucket and I won. And I got a blessed picture of Our Lady of Guadalupe. So that made me very happy.
Well, yeah, and that maybe it was an auction, a silent auction. Maybe it was, a fast food restaurant that had these scratch-off tickets. You win a free order of fries or something. It doesn't have to be, a multi-million-dollar jackpot. If you've won that, you probably don't want to call in because then all your friends will be calling you. But
We'd be calling you.
If you've won something in your life, and, it happens to all of us at some point. Like, Debbie, you just shared that example of you winning that, getting that prize there. So join us here, 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986. We don't have a show without you. Debbie and I could sit here and talk, and probably we'd have to dig deep in our archives to come up with some things we have won in our life. But it's your show, so we want you to call in and be front and center here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
That is true. Jerry's right. Jerry, I want to ask you, have you ever won anything?
I have, yeah. I just know over the years, like Knights of Columbus, like you mentioned, the raffles and things like that. I've won smaller stuff. I've never managed to hit it rich. I've always thought, I've played though. When the mega bucks gets up into, or whatever they call the main national lottery, when it gets up to $500 million or something. Yeah, I run down to a convenience store and buy 10 tickets and. I just leave knowing that that's going to be more money for somebody else and not for me. So,
What would you do if you won something? Would you, I mean, I know you so well, like with Catholic radio, I'm sure you would remember Catholic radio.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of ministries would be, rescued from their financial woes, or they would not experience them ever again. But, that's a good question too. If you won a large prize of some kind, what might you do with that? Maybe we can have some people share on that topic as well, Deb.
That would be wonderful. So we just need to hear from you. Fill up those phone lines. Let's have a robust discussion on this. Let's learn and grow together. Hopefully we walk away from this brief hour we get to spend with one another a little bit changed, a little bit closer to God. So here's the number, 833-288-EWTN. If you've ever won a lottery prize, raffle, anything like that, maybe at the parish bingo games. If you've ever won that, share with us. 833-288-3986. My mother won at bingo. She won $800.
Yeah. Did she play a lot?
Well, it was at the parish. They had it once. They had once a month. Yeah, she won like 800. It was amazing. It was like incredible. She won like the big thing. Like I guess she had to fill up the whole board or something. But I mean, it was so much. She didn't even realize that somebody yelled it for her.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they yelled bingo. She was like, I think I won.
Wow. What did she do with the money?
Oh, my mother was always generous. Mom.
Sure,
Remember my mom, Connie?
Yeah.
My mom, Connie, would give money to everybody. She was so sweet. But you know what I loved about that getting together as a parish community? Some people may find that, they may have a problem with that because it's a form of gambling, at the parish bingo hall. But it's really quite nice to see a parish community come together and just share a little laughter and a little fun and just a little relaxation. What do you think of that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that, and there are some who would even look at like the major lotteries and stuff and say, well, we shouldn't be doing that, or we shouldn't be going to casinos or whatever. I think the Catechism of the Catholic Church addresses this, and the Church would say, as she always says, all things in moderation. You don't want to risk money that you can't afford to lose if it's going to be something you can afford and a little bit of a pastime for you, like you said, Debbie, or getting together with friends or something. The Church would not frown on that at all. So. That's what we're talking about today. Have you won a jackpot, a lottery, a bingo in your parish hall, or any kind of a drawing ever in your life? 833-288-3986. Couple lines open still, so grab one of those.
On the next Beacon of Truth, we reflect onto the 5th Sunday of Ordinary Time and Soulful Psalm 27.
I'm Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers, and I invite you to join me for Beacon of Truth.
This is a Did You Know moment with Sandra McDevitt. Did you know 2,579 Catholic clergy were imprisoned in the Dachau concentration camp during World War II? In 1940, all Catholic clergy were sent from various camps to Dachau, housed in Block 26. Polish clergy, deemed racially inferior, Block 28. A chapel was put together by either scavenging or building by inmates. The Eucharist was smuggled out in tiny bits and distributed throughout the camp. After Pope Pius XII gave his Christmas message against the Nazis, 60 Catholic clergy were brutally tortured at Dachau. Polish priests received the harshest treatment, including medical experimentation. There was an ordination at Dachau, but that's another Did You Know? This is Sandra McDevitt for EWTN Radio.
Apple TV allows you to instantly stream your favorite EWTN television and radio shows to your TV. All you need is a high-speed internet connection, a TV, and the Apple TV player.
You're listening to EWTN Radio.
It is so good to have you with us here on EWTN Radio. Take two with Jerry and Debbie on this February 6th broadcast, and we are live, and we are taking your calls, your emails at take2@ewtn.com. Phone number 833-288-3986. We're just asking you if you've ever had the good fortune, the luck, the blessing, if you want to look at it as a blessing from God, to win a prize of some kind. It could have been a big lottery. It could have been, a scratch-off ticket at your local McDonald's or something, or anywhere in between. Please join us and just share your experience with that. Before we go to the calls, just want to mention EWTN Religious Catalog has a beautiful necklace. It's Our Lady of Notre Dame necklace. It's beautiful and delicate. Those are the words that perfectly describe a lovely new necklace in the EWTN Religious Catalog. It's a silver tone, 16-inch chain featuring a Notre Dame de Cap medal on one side and the Sacred Heart on the reverse. It's crystal faceted and capped larger beads flanked by smaller crystals, and that is what accents the medal. It's got a 2-inch extender with lobster clasp finishing the piece. You can visit EWTNRC.com to see the matching bracelet and earrings sold separately. Available now at EWTNRC.com. And you get free standard shipping for online orders of $75 or more. That is in the continental United States only. All you have to do, just remember this word, and you probably will never forget it. It's free. Just use the code FREE when you check out.
Okay, we're going to go to the phones in just a minute. Let me just share this with our listeners. The phone number is super easy. In fact, put it on your refrigerator, because every weekday, we do these as many live call-in shows as we possibly can when we're in town. So we really would love the full participation. 833-288-EWTN. You can put that right on your refrigerator. 833-288-3986. But Jerry, let's hear what Margaret has to say in New York, listening on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Margaret. You're first up here on Take Two.
Yes, that's my confirmation name. In 2012, my son won a quick pick lotto, but leading up to it, him and his wife and the child were living in a rental house, paycheck to paycheck. There's no chance of, getting a new home or anything. And in the beginning of 2012, he lost his job. In the spring, his father was on home hospice, so he was able to help me take care of his dad. That was in the spring of 2012. In June. In June of 2012, his dad was dying, and my son was on his first day of a new job, and so he had to go, and it was south of Rochester. We got the call to him, and you got to get home. He made it home. And all these times that everything happened, I prayed and prayed and prayed for everything to come out all right. And that was in June. So then in September, my son came down with a rare form of meningitis. This is all leading up to his lotto ticket, but you have to understand. Mm-hmm. And so so he got over that. I prayed and prayed and prayed. It was a rare form. The doctor said, you're lucky that you got here in time for the antibiotics to work. And he said, I only see 3 cases like this a year, and then not all of them survive. So that was in September. In December, he went and bought a lotto ticket, a quick pick at a local store in Rochester. And a couple days later, he went with his 6-year-old son, and he found out that he won $250,000.
Wow.
And he called me, and I didn't believe him. I went over to the house, and we gathered together, and I prayed because, I said, Dad, please don't let them spend this money on frivolous. Don't have them have such a spectacular Christmas. This is your only chance to have a house of your own that you can buy a house without renting for the rest of your life. It's the only chance they had. And so he took care of it. By June of 2013, they had a nice home, a very nice home, and they have it. And they bought some new furniture, and then they put a lot of money down, but they still had a mortgage, so they got the mortgage going. They're both working. But then over the years, then he had a disability, and he was off work for a while. They spent all their 401k money to survive, and I helped them out, and they went to some food pantries, and I remember driving him to a food pantry. But then this past May, he got a fantastic. All this time, I'm praying. I am praying to St. Joseph. I'm praying to St. Anthony. Find him a job. Then he finally got this terrific job with his old truck. I said, no, please, St. Anthony, help him find a truck so he can get to this job. And within a few months, he got a newer truck. And I pray for all my 2 other children and my grandchildren. And I just keep praying, don't stop praying. And he has a great job. He's going all over New York State. I'm so thankful that everything worked out. But it was so hard. It was so hard.
Well, it is, Margaret.
They were in danger of losing. Then he had to repay some of the mortgage. He was behind. Oh, wow. And so I'm just so thankful to St. Joseph, Padre Pio, for the healing, and Andre Bassett and St. Joseph and St.
Well, your beautiful intercession on his behalf. Sorry to interrupt there, I didn't mean to, but your beautiful intercession on his behalf, I think, just tells a lot about this story right now. I mean, you had so many details that you shared, losing his father and all of these other challenges and difficulties and trials, and that winning of that money. I mean, that was one of just a series of blessings. It sounds like God has poured out upon your son, and I'm sure, Debbie, that the son is very, very grateful for this, and Margaret sounds like just a mother who is just so grateful to God for all that she did in her son's life.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, Margaret, your story. I've actually heard a similar story before with a person that was going through a lot of medical issues, and the bills were just getting higher and higher that they had to pay, and they were going into debt, and things were happening, and it was like this domino effect. It was just one thing after another, and God just showed up at the right time for that person, and they really did go to deep prayer and sincere gratitude for God. And it's so interesting. I find it fascinating how God shows up. He knows when we've reached our limit, when we can't do much more, the options, we're running out of options. And so I think your story is interesting. I just want to continue the prayers and the thanks to God for you, Margaret, and for your son and his blessings, because I think it's important we constantly glorify God and praise God when he does absolutely come in the nick of time. Right, Jer?
Yes, hold on. I had my microphone down.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, no, because you talk about it sometimes that he just shows up, but it's right in the nick of time.
God is never late, as the saying goes. And I was reminded, Margaret, as you were talking about, your son winning that prize, and then, you were encouraging him to get that house he needed. Psalm 127 came to mind. Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. Mm-hmm. But Margaret, before we let you go, are you comfortable giving us your husband's first name? We have this prayer book, as you may know from listening to the show. We'll put him in there.
My son that won the lotto, his name is Dan. And his father is Steve.
Steve. Okay, got it. And this was your confirmation name, so we got it. So we have you in.
You.
You're welcome. We have you in the book. God bless you, Margaret. Wow, that was a great story. Great call to start us off here. We're talking today on the program. On Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, you probably know by now, we get into, we cover large, 38,000-foot topics. We also get down to the minutia of life sometimes. And we're talking today about if you've ever won a lottery, a jackpot, a prize, any kind of a gift, 833-288-3986. If you're on the line, hold on. We got several of you we're going to get to here. Next up in line is Chip in Fort Wayne, Indiana, listening today on Sirius XM 130. Hello, Chip. Thanks for calling.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing great. So happy to have you with us.
Okay. Am I on?
You are on the air live around the world.
Okay. I'm sorry. So the background for my story is in 2020, I was diagnosed with CIDP. We went to the cathedral in D.C., and while I was there, I picked up a prayer card for St. Servatius, who was patron saint of leg and feet ailments. Mm-hmm. And then I used to run marathons. I had a qualifying time for Boston, but it wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough. They have a cutoff, and so several people, 1,000 people, don't get in. I sent it in, and the year that I sent it in, not enough people signed up, so I accidentally got into the Boston Marathon.
Wow!
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, and so it was at a time when my family was having trouble. Some of my daughters have wandered away from the church, and so the whole family, all of my family, came to watch me kind of hobble through the Boston Marathon. When we got to Heartbreak Hill, they were all there, and 3 of my kids ran up Heartbreak Hill with me. And I can't tell you that experience meant more to me than winning any kind of a lottery.
Right.
The whole family came together. My kids say it was the best vacation that we ever had. It was just so wonderful. And so thanks to St. Servatius for helping me through this, and just getting into the marathon gave me motivation to push through and keep my strength in my legs. Since then, things have gone downhill, but it was such a wonderful weekend. So it's not a lottery, but I won more that weekend than I ever could have with a lottery.
Better than a lottery, yeah.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Chip, I put you in the prayer book, just so you know, so we'll be praying for you. But do you have any video or pictures of it? I know you have it deep in your memory, but do you have it? Did you get any video of that with your kids?
Yes, I have a picture with me and 2 of the daughters.
Nice.
Going up Heartbreak Hill. The other one was just out of the range of the photographer, but I have that. Those are up on my wall. And I can't say every day I look at that picture.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, Chip, I don't know how regularly you listen to the program, but I am back in formation for the priesthood, and I'm attending Pope St. John the 23rd National Seminary in Weston, Massachusetts, just a few miles outside of Boston, so I can totally relate, because it's obviously huge news here. People talk about it all the time, and I actually have one of my professors who taught me the Pentateuch last semester. He's got to be 60 plus, and he ran in the Boston Marathon, and I think he finished first in his age group, and he actually even runs, he jogs 10, 15 miles to class sometimes during the day. So it's something I never had the gift of, Chip, was being able to run like that. But you obviously, like you said, Chip, you want something even better than
better.
So.
Yeah. Chip, you're awesome. We've got you covered in prayer, and keep us posted on how you're doing. Okay.
Red Sox game too.
Oh, good. Yeah. Good for you.
But like I said, the family being together meant more to me than anything. So, this first time I called in, I listened to you guys going back and forth to the YMCA, and so it was a surprise to hear that, and I just thought I had to share that.
Well, Debbie always says, if you have the prompting of the Holy Spirit, call in, and that's certainly what happened with you, Chip. So thank you. You'll be in our prayers going forward, as Debbie said. And he's right. When you come to Boston, you got to go to Fenway Park and see the Red Sox.
Very cool. Very cool. Thanks, Chip. God bless you. Okay, let's say hello to Tom in Buffalo, New York, on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Tom. Welcome.
God bless you. Hi, Buffalo, New York.
Okay, Tom, you want to turn down your radio, or otherwise you're going to hear me twice.
I'm going to the other room.
Okay.
That's my shop. I always have you on when I'm working.
Oh, thank you. In that case, go ahead and leave it on. All right.
Well, anyways, about the lotto.
Yeah.
I'm 77. I just was 77 yesterday.
Oh.
And I was 40 years old. And we were in desperate need of $830, or I was going to lose my house. My wife was shopping. I happened to look over and saw the lotto. I never bet. I said, well, I'll bet it. So I pick out all my birthday numbers, and my last one, I asked my younger son, gave me the last number. He said, 40 your age. So I smacked him in the head. My age. Don't you know all those numbers came in? The last number was 40, which I didn't bet.
Wow.
I won 800 for second place and 30 for third, exactly to the penny what I need.
Is that right?
Oh my goodness. I have to ask the question, Tom. Okay, if you had played that 40, what would you have won?
Oh, it was a blessing I didn't. I had too many gamblers in my family. They would have bled me to death.
Oh my goodness. So you just had just enough. Wow.
Yeah, well, I said it earlier on this show, and we've said it many times. God is never late. And Tom, you had that experience of God coming in the 11th hour. Happy birthday to you. I hope you were able to celebrate with some of the family that you mentioned, or loved ones or friends yesterday.
Yeah, well, it's pretty tough for me because I just lost my wife after 52 years.
Oh.
Are you comfortable giving us her first name, Tom? We're coming up on a break, but are you comfortable giving us her first name? We'll put both of you in the prayer book.
Oh, yeah, my wife is Carol.
Okay.
And I'm naturally Tom.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, you got, this is a global show, Tom, airs around the world, so you can be assured of many, many prayers going for the repose of her soul and consolation for you and all of your family. Okay?
Thank you, Tom.
Hey, Debbie, can I say one thing to you?
Yes, you can. Hold on one second. Hold on. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. You hear the music. We're asking the question if you've won a lottery or a raffle or at bingo, something like that. Please call us, 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. And we'll be right back with Tom from Buffalo, New York.
Here's today's quote from Mother Angelica's Perpetual Calendar. I don't have any problem accepting all the truths in the church, and I don't feel badly that I don't understand most of them. I mean, you'd have to be God to understand the fullness of all the truths in the church, so I don't have a problem with that. But living every day, every moment, and seeing God in this moment, now, that's faith. Mother's Perpetual Calendar features an inspirational message for each day of the year. It's available at EWTNRC.com.
Take Two with Jerry and Debbie is on YouTube. Search YouTube to find the EWTN YouTube channel, so you'll never miss an episode of our show or any of your favorite EWTN radio shows.
Hi, this is Mike Aquilina with a few words about St. Cyprian. Cyprian was born to a rich family in Carthage, North Africa. As an adult, he converted to Christianity, and soon he was named bishop of his city. He led the church through a time of multiple crises, including persecution. He himself died a martyr.
The EWTN Radio listener comment line is open right now for you. If you've got a question or comment about what you hear on EWTN Radio, we'd love to hear it. Call 205-795-5773. We'd also like to know how our programming has impacted your life or the life of someone you know. That number again, 205-795-5773. And thank you for listening to EWTN Radio.
Hi, this is Janette Williams. You don't have to be a woman to enjoy Women of Grace tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern here on EWTN Radio. Now, back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
We're asking you to weigh in on this conversation and tell us if you've won a lottery or a raffle or a drawing. We'd love to hear the results of that, and not because we're nosy, just because we want to learn and grow together. 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986. And we're talking with Tom in Buffalo, New York. And Tom, I can tell you already that the Take Two family is praying for you because it was your birthday, and also with the loss of your beautiful wife, Carol. And so I hope you feel the prayers from the Take Two family. But you have a question for me, Tom.
Oh, yes. You had on a while ago a program, Who You Have the Hardest Time to Forgive. Mm-hmm. And you had said, myself. And I wanted to tell you, Debbie, that is great. That's a sign of how close you're coming to Jesus. That's just a little thing you think is wrong, you feel bad. That's a great sign of how close you're coming to Jesus.
Oh, my goodness, Tom. Thank you so much. You are a beautiful soul, and I thank you for that. And, you know, the shows that we do, we really, Jerry and I are so committed to and passionate about just going out there and sharing our faith walk and our spiritual lives, so that in the hope that it will bring others closer and get them to reflect. And by you sharing those kind words, Tom, that really made my day. Thank you so much. God bless you. Keep the radio on in your workshop, okay?
I will, and keep that laugh going. It makes my day.
Okay, Tom. God bless you. Thank you.
Wow,
That
great
was so
calls
sweet.
today, as usual. The Take Two family, it's no surprise coming from you, the Take Two family.
I know.
Again, we're talking about winning something. It could be basically anything in life, something big, something small, something in between. We're getting a lot of stories about how God has come through in a time of need. Maybe that's happened to you. Maybe maybe you won something and you just felt like the Lord wanted you to disperse that among family, friends, loved ones, help out a ministry somewhere here and there. 833-288-3986 is the number. Hang on, Cease and Gail. You're right in line after Janette, who is in Beach Park, Illinois, listening today on WSFI. Hello, Janette. Hello, Janette. Are you there? Janette may have stepped away from the phone for a moment.
Oh, I think I can hear her. Janette, are you there? No? Okay, Matt's going to check to see. So let's go to Cease, our friend Cease in Lincoln, Nebraska. In the meantime, on the EWTN app. Cease, welcome.
Hi.
Hey, Jerry and Debbie. Thank you. It's great to hear your voices. You're both back in the saddle again, and that makes us all in the EWTN family so happy.
Oh, thank you.
God. So I have to share with you that I have won 2 radio lotteries. Okay, want to hear more about it?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So today I won the radio lottery because you're both on. So that's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
And then back in 2010, we had a local radio station that was giving away a trip to the Bahamas. But you had to qualify and, jump through a few hoops. Well, I thought, I'm just going to try. And lo and behold, it came time. I called in. I was the 5th caller, and I knew the answer to the question that they were asking. And my husband and I won a trip to the Bahamas.
Wow.
And here's how God works. So in March of that year, my husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And I, at the time, said, well, we can pray for your healing, but I want to pray for the salvation of your soul. I want to make sure you get to heaven, and we have some time here to do that. And the trip was in May, and he was well enough to take the trip. And seriously, when we arrived, it was all expenses paid, all-inclusive trip. And the scenery, the atmosphere, everything was so heavenly. It was absolutely beautiful. And to this day, I marvel at, how God works, because I knew that my husband needed hope and encouragement on his journey to heaven. And boy, if that wasn't validation, that this is what you have to look forward to. And it instead of being really sad, it filled my heart with so much hope and joy. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, well, definitely stick to that, Cease. And you're such a beautiful soul and a great member of the Take Two family. We love getting your emails and the prayer intentions, and you always include in your emails how much you're praying for us and the entire Take Two family, so we appreciate that. But definitely share this story as widely as possible, because we always encourage our listeners, Cease, as you know that, Debbie, and you know that as well. We tell people, if you got a story to share, don't keep it to yourself, because this is a beautiful account of, like you said, Cease, God giving you a little bit of a foretaste of heaven on that trip that you were able to take. And so, you can give hope to a lot of people, I think. What do you think, Deb?
Oh, I totally agree. I think of the movie, as you were speaking, I was thinking of the movie Beaches. I don't know if folks remember that movie, but in the one of the main characters was dying, and the setting was always around a beach in the water. There's something very beautiful and heavenly about being on a beach and looking out into the water, just to remind ourselves of God's magnificence and how big it's going to be when we get to heaven, much bigger than we could ever imagine. And so I'm so grateful to God that you were able to go on that trip and experience that in such a beautiful way before approaching, everything you had to go through with your husband. But Cease, what I find interesting is that a lot of people forget to do that. They when they're in the midst of something that's very terminal or serious in a medical situation, they forget to take that time to really even go out to nature and to really experience God. So I'm glad you reminded us of that, Cease.
Well, and, I don't take all the credit myself, because people would come up to me and say, why, how can you have such a positive attitude? How can you be so pleasant? How come you're not sobbing and kicking and wailing and so angry at God because he's taking, the life of your husband? And I said, you know what? It's by the grace of God. And his last name was Kelly. My name was Kelly. And I said, just call me Amazing Grace Kelly. What can I say?
That's awesome.
So it is by the grace of God that we get through those things.
Yeah.
So
and also a good sense of humor. You got a great sense of humor, but go ahead. Finish your thought.
I'm so grateful for both of you, for the EWTN family, for the prayers that they say, for the EWTN. Oh my gosh, my life is so much richer, fuller, and more blessed because of EWTN and people like you. So keep up the great work, and I'll keep praying for all of you.
Well, as long as you're there, Cease, we will keep up the work that we're doing. How great it is, God alone knows, but we will definitely do that. Thank you so much. What another great call on today's program. Janette is back in Beach Park, Illinois, so we're going to go there. And Janette is listening to us today on WSFI Catholic Radio. And we're going to go to Janette here momentarily. Thank you. Yeah, Janette, welcome back. Good to have you with us.
I'm glad to be there with you. And I thank you so much for your program. I find myself in the car this time of the day very frequently, and so I get a lot of opportunities to listen to your show, and I just so am enriched by it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. So go right ahead. What did you win?
Okay, so this is years ago, so I don't remember exactly what year it was, but our parish school had their auction night, and part of it, they had a 50-50 raffle that I won. Nice. And the story behind what I did with those funds, it was several $100s. I don't remember what the exact cost of prize was now, but I knew exactly in my heart when I won that just exactly what those funds were meant for. Because early in my life, when we were a young military wife and on a very slim budget, and my spirituality was growing, and I desired to have a more accessible Bible in my home. I had one of those great big huge coffee table Bibles that they're kind of cumbersome. They work, but they're not as user friendly as something you can hold in your hand and pray with. And so I had a desire to have that, but I didn't want to. We were on a tight budget. I didn't really want to spend the money. And I had a lady that come to my house one day, and because it was so long ago, I don't remember why she was there. Mm-hmm. But when she left me money, and I think it was somewhere around $25 or $30 back then, quite a number of years ago. And I knew when she gave me that money just exactly what that was for, was to buy a Bible. And I had a friend that had a little religious shop out of her home. They did ceramics, and they sold some religious articles and things. And they ordered me a Bible, and the money that she gave me was just the exact amount, the cost of the Bible that they had for me. So to pay it forward, this raffle money that I won, I knew we had a deacon's wife in our parish, and they're also on a tighter budget, and I know her spirituality was growing, and I knew she had a desire to have the 4-volume set of the Liturgy of the Hours, and so I knew that that's what these this money was meant for. And so I went and got her a set of the Liturgy of the Hours for her.
Nice. Nice.
As a payback and thank you. The Lord just works so wonderfully in our lives and just provides for us.
He sure does.
Yeah.
Whenever we have needs like that.
Well, kind of like a pay it forward. You know, Janette, you right. You got me thinking about this. I have to share with you. So one of our wonderful affiliates for EWTN is Guadalupe Radio Network, and they're in the midst of their raffle right now for a beautiful Mercedes. But last year they launched a pay it forward where you bought tickets you can buy it for yourself or for other people. And last year's winner of the car was a pay it forward ticket. Jerry, isn't that cool? So somebody did just that, Janette. They bought a ticket for someone else and they blessed that person with a brand new car. Can you believe it, Jerry?
That is incredible. God bless all of them involved in that. And Janette, you're reminding us, everything that we have is a gift from God.
Yes.
We're called to be stewards of the gifts that God gives us. Now, I always say we need to take those blessings, financial included, and we need to hold on to them, tightly enough to be responsible enough, but loosely enough to be generous. And God has a purpose in allowing, like yourself, Janette, and others to win some of these things, but it's ultimately all His money. And, I try and do that. If I find myself with a few extra dollars, I actually really want to approach it. I try and approach it very prayerfully because I say, God, it's your money. What do you want me to do with it?
Right.
And it could be, I need to pay something here or there, but it could also be, put someone on your heart that it has a need at the time. So, yeah.
Yeah, Janette, you're getting us thinking in a bigger way, and I love that. And to bless others, to make others, put in a position a little bit better for that day or for that month, or it's just, I think there are many blessings around that. I think the graces are flowing, and I think God is really pleased when the body of Christ comes together like that. Janette, you're awesome. Thank you so much, and thanks for listening to us when you're in the cars. Drive safely. And Jerry, why don't we move to Gail in New Hampshire? And Gail is waiting so patiently on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Gail.
Hi. Am I on the air?
You are on the air.
Oh, okay. This is my first time ever calling, so this is going to be, I'm going to try to get through this.
You will.
I need to tell the backstory, first of all. I have three sisters, and one of them, back in 1968, I was a teenager at the time, she was married, and her very first child only lived 2 months because of birth defects. And it was an extremely terrible time that the whole family went through, her first grandchild. Well, going forward, she ended up having 4 more children, and it was in 83 or 84 that she was struggling financially, and I was married and had 3 kids, and just we were doing okay. And she called because her refrigerator died, and she didn't have a refrigerator and needed help. It happened to be the weekend that at the parish, they were having a spaghetti supper and a raffle and fundraiser and all that fun stuff that you do. Well, my husband happened to be the president of the Holy Name Society at Yale in the 1980s. And at 4 o'clock Mass on that weekend, I decided to go into church, and I remembered that it was her son's birthday, that he would have been, 25 or something years old at the time. And I decided to pray to my guardian angel, and I asked my guardian angel to please speak to this little Johnny that I believed was an angel as well, that his mother needed help, and she needed money for a refrigerator. So I asked if I could get the raffle ticket, and I never did that before, and I said I'd be giving half of it to her. So I went to the spaghetti supper, and everything was fine. And sure enough, I ended up winning the grand prize of $500. So I was like, oh, and I knew immediately that, half the money was going to my sister. So my husband yells out with this whole group of people and yells, we won $500. I said, oh, no, we only have half. I said, I've already given it away. and he said, what? What do you mean you gave it away? No, it's going to my sister. But anyways, that's what we did with the money. But I believe it was because of, my guardian angels were really listening, and I believe he was a little angel, and he knew she needed help. So that's my story.
Well, you've woven a beautiful tapestry with the story, Gail. And how could your husband argue with that, right? I mean, but we're sorry about the loss of your nephew. But again, as Debbie typed over to me, another pay it forward type of situation here. And it just shows also how connected we are, even in death, even in exiting this world. Your nephew, if he's in heaven, he can intercede. If he's in purgatory, he could intercede. And, we all I think don't quite really have a good appreciation of just how connected we are with the three sort of branches of the church, if you will. The church triumphant in heaven, church militant here on earth, but we have the church suffering in purgatory, and those souls actually can aid us with their prayers. So
yeah. And I think just you entered into that beautiful prayer, Gail, with such a pure heart, and God responded in a very generous way, because that's the God we serve, a very generous, giving God. I love it. Gail, thank you so much for gracing this conversation today, being a first-time caller. Call us again, okay? All right.
Okay.
Thanks,
you. Gail.
Jerry, before we get back to the phones, I know we want to get a couple more calls, and I just wanted to share with our listeners, the Miracle Hunter is Saturday, 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Tony Schreiner, CEO of Mass of the Ages, Godbread, discusses Eucharistic saints, and our very own Teresa Tomeo, author of Italy's Shrines and Wonders, discovering sacred spaces, fascinating places, and destinations off the beaten path. That's going to be a great show.
It is. Everything on EWTN is good for the spiritual life and good for regular, just living our lives as best we can.
Right.
All right. We've got Bill in Dallas. Hang on, you're right after Michael in Detroit. Michael's listening on Ave Maria Radio. Hi, Michael.
Hello. How are you?
Doing great. So glad you called.
So this was a few weeks before Christmas. Can you hear me?
Yep. Oh, yeah. Go right ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'm in my car. So I was, I'm a contractor, and I was working downtown Detroit. It was a very cold day, and there were two homeless guys that were huddled up with this little tiny blanket on a church step. And I walked by, and I started a conversation with them, and they were recently released from prison. And I said, "You guys should be at a shelter. It's getting really cold tonight." And they're like, we everything's booked up, and we just don't want to go. So I said, "Well, let me go buy you guys some supplies." So I went to a store, and I brought them like a sleeping bag and socks, and I like the total bill was over $200. And I thought, "Oh man!" And I keep hearing my mom's voice in my head. God can never be outdone with charity. God can never be outdone with charity. So I brought him all these things. So the next day, I had a Knights of Columbus meeting, and I showed up to the church about an hour early, and the doors were locked, and there's a casino literally across the street from the church. So I'll go in there and spend a couple of dollars. And I went in and I put $20 into a slot machine and literally hit for over $22,000.
Wow.
And I was in shock, and I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. And and everyone came up to me and they said, "We've never seen this machine hit." And so God can never be outdone with charity. So.
Oh my goodness! I don't think I've ever heard that before. Have you ever heard that? Yeah. Wow.
No, we've heard many times. God is not done in charity, but
no, I meant a casino hit
right.
Like that.
Yeah, right. Well, and Michael, you're right. You've jogged my memory, because I was in seminary formation before right now. This was 30 years ago, and I was driving along and I saw somebody similar to what you described on the street, and I had $5 in my wallet, and I didn't know what I was going to do when that was gone. But I went up a block or two, went around the block, and I was going to give this individual those $5, and they were gone. I wasn't able to find them. And that afternoon, I got my mail. There was a check from a Knights of Columbus Council for $500. And
goodness.
that helped to go a long way for me then. So Debbie, I'm sure you've experienced God not being outdone in generosity yourself.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. That is a great story, Michael. Thank you so much for sharing with that. Wow, that just, when I was talking about God's magnificence, how big God is, and you just nailed it with that story, Michael. Thank you for taking the time and sharing with the whole Take Two family. Wow. We do have to try to squeeze in Bill, because Bill's been waiting in Dallas, Georgia on the EWTN app. Bill, you're going to be our last caller for today, so take it away.
Yes, hello all. My lottery is my wife that said yes to me, that I married her back on June 29th, 1991, and that's a gift that I got from God. I sadly lost my beautiful wife, Patricia, June 14th of 2023. And the month before she passed, we went out to see our son get married, one of the adoptive sons that we adopted out in Phoenix, Arizona. And the woman that maybe 2 callers before me talked about her husband having pancreatic cancer and took him out on a boat cruise or something like that. Mine is sort of like, I didn't win a lottery like money, but in my beautiful wife, because it's the best thing that ever happened to me. And that caller made it click into me of me having the fortitude and the strength that God gave me to get my wife ready to go see our son get married in Phoenix, Arizona, because she was compromised, had Parkinson's severely, kidney disease severely, no kidneys at all. And when we came back, she was diagnosed with cancer because of the Parkinson's medicine that she was on. So I wanted to give a hoot to that woman that was like 2 callers beforehand, because it kind of made me feel better that I didn't win monetarily, but I won it in the hand in my beautiful wife, Patricia Ann.
Right.
And she was meant so much to me, and every day I thank and pray to God about her and talk with her, because she was opening up my eyes and brought me back to God too. And we adopted 2 boys because of her, because we lost 2 boys way back in the 90s, miscarriage and also stillborn. So. Anyway,
well, Bill,
that's my story. I want to just say that thank you.
Well, Bill, before you go, that was Cease's call that you were referencing earlier, and I can pretty much say this because I know the Take Two family very well after almost 10 years. I don't think there's a dry eye in the whole world listening to you right now. The testament of love for your beautiful Patricia and your family. And so, Bill, we're sorry for your loss, but you have such a beautiful heart, and you definitely have an appreciation for life and for family, and that goes a long way with God. So I just want to thank you, sir, for sharing with us today. Jer?
No, I cannot add to that. I'm moved to emotion as well, Bill, and yours is the kind of call that I think really, like Debbie said, touches people very, very deeply. So, Bill, anything real quickly you wanted to add before we end the program?
I just want to say to anybody out there, just don't give up. Listen and hear with your ears, see with your eyes as Jesus does, because that's who He led me to, my beautiful Patricia. With that mindset.
I think we can say without a doubt that she felt the same way about you, Bill. There's no question about that. Thank you. We are getting ready to end the show here, so thank you, Bill, for that beautiful call. Wow, another great show. I think it was Cease who said something. She mentioned the word backstory, and since I'm a spiritual beggar, I'm going to continue to ask for prayers. I'm actually recovering from back surgery. I'm getting around a little bit better, still using a walker on long hallways and stuff here at the seminary. And Debbie, of course, with her eye surgeries and stuff. So, folks, we're spiritual beggars. We pray for you every day. We need that to come back to us in return as well, right, Deb?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for those prayers. Tomorrow's topic, the real presence on the first Friday of the month. So we need to talk about the Eucharist, and we need to shout it to the entire world, the most holy Eucharist. Jer?
All right. Until tomorrow, thanks to the show team. We got Michael and Matthew and Rich and you, the Take Two family. You nailed it again today. Thanks. Have a beautiful and blessed day, and we'll talk soon.
Are you up against a problem? Are you feeling stuck and unable to see your way out? You just might need a fresh perspective, and that is what life coaching is all about. Sticking to a plan and creating new habits for a better life.